Mama, and welcome to the One Income Family Podcast. How often do you find that maybe you've missed something that was really important and needed to be added to the budget only after you've already budgeted everything? That is so frustrating, and sometimes it doesn't even show itself again until days after you've already been using the budget the way you already planned it. Well, today we are going to talk about how using a calendar can prevent you from missing these expenses that can easily be forgotten about when it comes to sitting down and doing your budget. So go cuddle up with a nice warm drink, get comfy with them babies, and open your heart to God as we head into today's episode. Do you find it hard to save or get out of debt? Are you constantly searching for ways to save money and live on a budget? Do you have big dreams only to be stopped by not sticking to your budget? Are you ready for financial freedom? Then you, Mama, are in the right place. Welcome to the One Income Family Podcast, where you will learn what it looks like to budget on one income, how to partner with God in your finances, how to budget in a way that's easy to stick to, and how to cut costs and save money, all so that you can start building wealth. It is my mission to equip you with these tools so that you can live in abundance regardless of the amount in your account. Hey, I'm Molly, a budget coach for stay-at-home moms, and I know what it's like to struggle on one income. I've lived paycheck to paycheck, relied on being frugal, and failed many budgets until I learned how to budget without tracking. This has allowed my family to pay off debt and build wealth all on one income. So, if you are ready for financial freedom, then go grab that stroller, plug in those headphones, and let's get to it. Hey Mama, I know what it feels like to not be able to stick to your budget. The frustration, the disappointment, the overwhelming stress, and even the shame that encompasses you because you think you should be able to do this. And when life proves otherwise, it is crushing. You want to live abundantly on one income, to take vacations and eat out, to reach your financial goals. You dream to get ahead financially, but at the same time, stay home and take care of your babies. Mama, that dream can come true. You can live abundantly and stay home with your babies at the same time. Stress is no longer a part of this equation. It is time for you to manage your money confidently, knowing that you can spend money, your money, without worry of it affecting something else. I want you to say yes to you, to declare that today is the day that you are going to release the fear and the shame of not being able to stick to your budget so that you can be confident in your financial decisions. I want you to go right now and send an email to mollybanella@gmail.com and set yourself up a budget audit. You no longer have to do this alone. We are going to walk through this together. I am going to hold your hand, and together we are going to overcome the fear and start budgeting confidently so that you can live the life you love. Again, that's Molly Banell, so MOLLY, B as in boy, ENELL @gmail.com. Alrighty, so forgetting things in the budget. I feel like this is something that happens all the time. I know that I have been notorious about this. Even now, I'll sit down to budget and I'll just be in my own headspace and completely forget about everything else and just focus on my goals and what we're trying to do. And then a few days later, or because we budget bi-weekly, a week later, I'll be like, oh no, I did not budget for that. Now I've spent all the money and I'm not sure where that's going to come from. So I have a system that can help prevent this, that actually does wonders as long as you sit down and do it, right? That will help you to actually stick to your budget because you're not going to forget things. And so like I said, I have forgotten so many things, and I have tried to scramble around to move money around for those forgotten expenses. And this is a system that has been a game changer in remembering what is going on in my life and remembering the things that are coming up that I'm not constantly thinking about until it gets closer to that thing. I don't know about you, but I am constantly forgetting to buy birthday presents for birthday parties because I only go to town every other week per se to get groceries. And if I'm not thinking about it then, I forget to buy birthday presents. And so I just feel so terrible when I show up to the party. I'm like, well, I forgot a birthday gift and I tried to scrounge around my house and I don't have a lot of extra things sitting around. So that didn't happen. But, there's always the thing where you can give them some money, right? I would like to get a gift. And this is the system that's going to help me remember to do that when it's time to spend that money and actually get it done before I'm like a day ahead. And that's when I'm thinking about what's actually going on the next day. And I'm remembering that I haven't gotten a gift, right? So this system, like you read in the calendar, that's what we're talking about. But like you read on the title of this episode, is using a calendar. And a calendar does so many things for so many parts of the budget. It is so helpful to visually be able to see things, because it's one thing to have your budget that tells you, what you need to spend or how you're going to spend it. It tells you your pre-plan. But your calendar kind of gives you the visual of how you spent your money or the things that are coming up that you need to spend your money on that aren't your typical goals that you've created and the things that are your constants. It's like the inconsistencies that are coming up. It's the things that are maybe unexpected per se, because it's something that you're not thinking about all the time. It's on the calendar and then you forget about it until you're looking at the calendar going, okay, this is what's happening tomorrow. This is what's happening tomorrow, right? I don't know about you, but when I write something on the calendar, I don't constantly be thinking about it when it's a month ahead, right? I'm thinking about a week at a time. What's going on this week? What do I need to focus on this week? I'm not focusing on what's going on a month or 2 months in advance. And so it can be so easy to forget about the things that are coming up when you're budgeting, because you're not thinking about, every single thing that's going on in your life. You don't have the capacity for that, right? Your brain would go crazy if you were constantly thinking about that. You'd be in constant overwhelm, and we want to prevent that. So, how do you prevent missing things in your budget that are going on in your life? And that is by using a calendar. So what is the purpose of a budgeting calendar? A budgeting calendar is used to keep track of your bills, to keep track of upcoming events that are going on, to keep track of holidays and birthdays. Because we think about them, but when we sit down to budget, we aren't thinking about events because we don't think that technically it's going to cost money for that, right? It is something that we're like, oh, that'll just come out whenever it needs to come out, right? It'll come out of our main spending and everything. But if you've already spent all that and you haven't actually taken into account that part of your income needs to go towards that, then you're not going to have the money for it, right? And that is why it's so important to keep track of your holidays and your birthdays, even though you know when they are. When you sit down to budget, you're not going to know when they are because it's not something you're constantly thinking about, right? So make sure that you're keeping track of those in your calendar. It's also a place to write down needs that come up during the week. So maybe the previous week you realized that you needed something that broke per se, let's say, I don't know, a microwave. Let's say your microwave went out and you need to buy a new microwave. Now, that doesn't mean that you're going to get it the exact next paycheck, because maybe you need to save up for a little bit depending on the price or size of microwave you're wanting to get. But it's still something that you write down in your calendar so that you know it's something you need to be focusing on and thinking about, and it doesn't get put to the wayward side and you're like me, just constantly putting it off and putting it off and putting it off, right? So that's something that you would write down, or maybe you need a notebook because your notebook went, or you ran out of paper in your notebook, or you need more pens. Like, it's something that you can put that stuff in. And yeah, you can put it on your grocery list, but if you're like me, you struggle at making a running grocery list. So this is where I put mine, is with my calendar. What another way that you can use your calendar is by tracking, or for tracking your daily spending. So if you're wanting to see how often, like day-wise, you're spending money, you can start writing it down and putting like what you're buying in your actual calendar, so that you can actually see when you're spending money. Is it all in one lump sum, one at a time, or is it one expense every single day? Is that something that you struggle with? So then when you see the data and you see what's actually going on, because you can have a running list, but it's not the same as seeing it in a physical planner spread out when you're actually spending money. When you see that, you're like, oh, I have a spending problem because I like to buy something every single day. And then you can go, hey, I want to challenge myself to maybe only spend something every 3 days a week, something like that. It can be whatever you want, but it allows you to see what's physically going on, so that you can start challenging yourself to cut back in ways that are maybe a way that you want to do it, or maybe not. Okay, so why should you add this calendar system to your budgeting system, right? It's just another thing that you have to do. It takes more time, and it's just another thing you have to track. Well, the reason that I'm doing this is because you're missing things when you sit down to budget, right? You're missing things and you're not realizing it until you're out of income and you're going, oh my gosh, I need income for this thing and I don't know where this money's coming from, and you're just freaking out. This is going to solve that. Yeah, it may take a few extra steps to sit down, to pull out your budget, to look at, or your calendar, to look at what's going on in your life, and it might, make you go, okay, I got to slow down. I can't just rush through the budget because we're trying to get it done as quickly as possible so we can move on to the next thing, because we live a busy life and so we want to quickly get through some. I'm talking really fast. Let me slow down. You're able to, again, like I'm talking, slow down and actually look at what's going on. Yeah, it may take a few extra minutes, but a few extra minutes versus a week of stressing of where this money is going to come from for the thing that you forgot that you needed to take care of is going to be a game changer on your mental state and on your stress and your overwhelm. You're going to be able to cover the things that you know are coming up that you forget about because you don't know what's coming up until you're thinking about that. Because when you are sitting down to budget, your brain is thinking about money. It's not thinking about what's going on in your life. It's not thinking about what events are you having to go to. Is there a game? Is there a concert? Is there a movie that you're wanting to go to? Well, you have to be able to fund that, right? Is there a park event that you have to go to? Well, you have to make sure you got the gas to get there. So there is a financial aspect to almost every little thing that we do, whether it's transportation getting there, whether it's paying to get into the thing. Now, yes, there are free things, but a lot of things are also paid for. And if you don't put that into consideration when you sit down to budget, you're not going to know where that money is going to come from, because there is a chance you could have it already spent. And I don't want that for you. I want you to be able to take care of the things that are coming up. I want you to be able to say, yes, I can do that. No, I'm not stressed. I know I have the money for that. I've set it aside. I've planned for it, and I've made sure that I didn't overspend on maybe my groceries because I got that before this thing, right? and I am able to cover it. Or maybe I went and I pulled the cash out for it so that I knew I wouldn't spend that money, right? There are so many ways that you can take care of it. But if you don't know that it's coming up because you aren't thinking about it, you're not going to budget for it. And that is one thing that we have to start remembering, is that there is a bit of a financial piece to almost everything that we do. And that is something that we've got to ingrain into our brain. And this calendar is going to help you do it. A calendar is also a great way, again, to physically see what is going on in your finances, because if you use it as a way to track your finances, and no, you're not going to track it in a sense of, well, this is how much came out of this account, this is how much came out of this account. It's mostly a way to be able to see when you are spending so that you are able to keep things straight, so that you are able to put challenges in and do maybe a no spend week if that's something that you want to do, or challenge yourself to spending only 3 days a week, like I already said. But if you don't know what you're doing, you cannot make those changes. You cannot challenge yourself to grow and stretch yourself in those ways if you do not see what is going on. It is one thing to know that you spend a lot of money. It's one thing to sit down and say, yeah, I know I spend all this money, but I'm not going to make any changes because I don't actually see what's going on. It's the same way with your budget. If you want to stay on budget, if you want to stick to your budget, you have to create a budget to be able to look at and see what's actually going on, and to take your budget and create it off of what you are actually doing, which is your statements, looking at your statements and seeing how much you are actually already spending in each category. Because if you don't do that, if you don't physically see what's going on, if you don't have the stats, essentially, like a budget is your stats. It allows you to see what's actually going on so that you can make a solid decision based off of what you're doing and create a decision that's not going to overwhelm you. Say maybe you're trying to challenge yourself to cut back on income in your groceries. Well, if you're spending $2,000 on groceries and you want to cut back to $1,000, if you do that right away, that is drastic. You are going to stress yourself out and you are not going to stick to that. You got to slowly cut back, like $200 every week, and maybe that's a month. So $200 every month cut back so that you're slowly pulling things back instead of jumping full-fledged in, because that is not going to stick. That's like quitting cold turkey, and I don't know how many people have actually succeeded at quitting cold turkey. If you're one of those people, then have at it, jump all you want, but it is going to be stressful, it is going to be hard, and you're not going to be perfect at it, so you have to give yourself grace. But if you have a calendar system in place, if you have the actual stats, you can make a more informed decision that's not going to stress you out. And that is what this calendar system is for, is to help you be able to see what's actually going on in your bills, in your life events, in your spending, so that you can make solid financial decisions that are not going to affect you financially and cause you stress and overwhelm. Alrighty, so how do you set up this calendar for the system, right? So that you can use it in your budget and just get the most out of it. And it is pretty straightforward and simple. You get a calendar. You can use your phone. You can start putting everything down in a wall calendar. I used to use a wall calendar. Now I use my actual planner for the week. You can use, whatever comes up. You could get your own separate little calendar if you wanted to, and just start writing everything down just so that you have everything together. Now, it is awesome to also pair a paper planner with a digital planner so that you and your husband can put events together on that calendar, and you're not going, hey, do you have anything coming up? Do you have something coming up that I need to make sure that I am putting in the budget? You just know what's going on as long as he's diligent about putting stuff in that combined family calendar, right? But it's still a way so that you can both see what's going on in each other's lives and you know what's going on so that you can budget for it properly. So once you've chosen the route and which planner you would like to use, you just write things down as they come up. Now, if you're like me, I've got a wall calendar, I've got my personal planner, and I'm constantly putting them in both locations, and I do struggle at putting it on my digital calendar just because my husband's not good at it. We're just both really good about putting it on our wall calendar. So then I just transfer things from there into my personal planner, and then I just go from there when I actually budget. So that is how I do it. But you just, after you figured out the way in which you want to have a calendar and what kind of calendar you want to use, you could even use like a pocket calendar if you wanted to transport it with you everywhere, right? There are so many options. But once you have that planner or that calendar that you want to use, you just start writing things down when they come up. And then you take it with you when you sit down to budget so that you can see what is going on. It's also a great way to track your bills. Like as they got paid for, you can cross them off and you know what ones are coming up. Like again, you could have it on a list, but it is so much easier to see when it is on a physical calendar. Like it's so much easier to understand what's going on when it's written on a calendar based on a list. Like I am not a big fan of lists. They do work great, and if you want to track them that way, you can. But I absolutely love using the calendar versus a like an actual bills tracker, because I just love crossing them off. Like that is me. I love to cross things off. And yeah, you may be checking a box, underneath that month on the bill tracker, but I love this system so much better because it's so much easier to see when things are coming out, how they're grouped together, when they're going to come out of your paycheck, because the months change, right? Things are not always consistent, and some bills may come out with other bills during a certain time of the year, and then it could change towards the end of the year, right? And that is why it's just so much easier to make financial decisions, to make these payments, to keep track of everything when you have a physical thing that you can look at and see what's actually going on. So it's a pretty simple system. It's not difficult at all, but it is a game changer, and it makes sure that you are not missing things. It makes sure that you have everything covered. You take it with you, you open it, you look at what's going on, you add it to the planner or to the budget. It's that simple. It's that easy. It takes maybe 5 more minutes added onto what it is that you're doing, as long as you're keeping track of what's going on, right? And you're not having to add it in later. But again, you can always just use what you already are using. So don't make it difficult. Don't do it 2-3 times if you're already writing it down in a different spot. Just make it simple and easy for you. Now, if this is something that you would like more information on, again, this is a pretty simple system, but if you would like to create a budget that you can use to add with this planner that maybe you're struggling with setting up, please reach out and grab a budget audit so that I can help you set that up so that you have a budget that is customized to you, that is something that you enjoy, that's going to actually reflect what you and your family want to do with your money. And it's not just somebody else's cookie cutter budget that you just saw on Etsy or Instagram or something and you just wanted to try it. Now, that is a great way to start learning how to budget, but it's not going to be sustainable because it's not something that you enjoy. It's not something that is what your family enjoys, right? It's what somebody else thinks that you should be doing with your money. And I don't want that for you. I want you to be doing with your money what you want to be doing. Now, yes, there are guidelines that everybody can use, but in the overall look of it, what your decisions are, what your financial decisions are going to be different for somebody else. So if you would like some help trying to figure out what that budget should look like and how to set it up, please reach out and grab a budget audit, because that is how I can help you start this process, like get into figuring out if working with me is the right thing to do, if, I am the one that can help you do this. A budget audit is going to also show you where we would be working, how we would be setting it up, and you'd have a game plan that you can walk away with and do it yourself, or you can get more help and actually have me help walk you through setting up this budget. So with that, you can grab yourself a budget audit simply by emailing me at mollybennell@gmail.com. So that's MOLLY, B as in boy, ENELL @gmail.com. And we can get that started as soon as today. So reach out and let's get it going. And with that being said, I will see you right back here next week on another episode of the One Income Family Podcast. Before you go, I hope this episode has ignited a fire inside of you, and I pray that it creates long-lasting impact. Did you know that you too can impact other one-income families? All you have to do is leave a written review, and you help get the podcast in the hands of other mamas in need. You can also text this episode to that friend who is also knee-deep in the same kind of chaos as you and inspire them to make a change. Also, your review lets me know that you're enjoying the show, and that lights me up. I get so excited to hear from you. Another great way that we can connect, though, is through the One Income Family community over on Facebook. So after you're done leaving that 5-star review, head on over to the community where you will find other mamas working their way out of the chaos. You can ask your questions and connect with others who truly understand what you are going through. I cannot wait to connect with you in the community. Until then, I will see you right here next week on another episode of the One Income Family Podcast.